Hello, people. Welcome to the show. This is your host Pranav, aka Nihilistic Gunner on Twitter. Thanks for tuning in. Arsenal have scored one goal from 6.47 xg over the last three games. Yeah, you heard it right. This is not a joke. That's the tweet that I'm currently reading right now. This is gonna be a very short podcast, guys. This is gonna be a short podcast, but also a sad one because we just lost to Liverpool. We are out of the FA Cup. I mean, the manner in which we lost was very disappointing because we should have scored a lot of goals in the first half and we should have probably put the game to bed so early. But that is the price we pay when our attackers don't finish those chances. We simply can't afford to miss chances like them against a top team like Liverpool who will just capitalize on those chances. So I'll give a quick summary of the game. The second minute, Ramsdale gave a very wonderful pass to Nelson, who could have done better. He could have probably passed it to Saka or someone. He could have probably passed to some other player, but I was okay with the start. I was okay with him missing the chance. Uh, we were positive. They were kind of in the phase where they were like conservative. They were like absorbing the pressure. We had the ball. We had the most control of possession. We created chances. Odegaard hit the bar, and then Havertz had a few chances where like his shots were weak. But we had the control of the game. Even after dominating them like that, it was a bummer to enter halftime without scoring a goal. But I still had hope in my mind that we would come out strongly in the second half because that's the kind of half we had. But at the same time, I was getting deja vu of those like later Wenger era days, like where we would absolutely dominate teams uh, without scoring, but then we would concede one stupidest goal, and then yeah, they would score one more to rub it on our eyes. I was dreading those scenarios in the back of my mind, but at the same time, it was a mixed feeling. I was happy with the kind of control we had in the game. I was actually quite surprised that uh, Liverpool allowed us to control and dominate them like that. Obviously, they didn't have Van Dijk, they didn't have Salah, but we also didn't have Zinchenko, we didn't have Jesus, and I was happy with the performance of most players except the front forward players who couldn't finish the chances. Saka wasn't good. Saka usually is very effective in those final third actions, but he was not uh, doing well. Nelson had a couple of chances where he scored, like I said. Uh, Havertz led us this game. I was quite happy with some of the actions he did. The kind of layups he did were good. He was trying to involve everyone into the play. He kind of created a few chances with his crosses, but he should have definitely done better for a couple of chances where like his shots were either weak or like his header was a bit wide. Now coming to Odegaard chance that hit the bar, that was unfortunate. Usually Odegaard can be trusted to score those goals inside the D, but his shot was too powerful. So then came the second half, and like we didn't have as much control that we had in the first half, but uh, we still created chances. Ramsdale did make one amazing save towards the end, but then yeah, right when like Klopp uh, was almost like okay with taking the tie back to Anfield, he brought few youngsters on. Haven't heard about them. I guess they haven't played for Liverpool before, but yeah, right before like I think 6 or 7 minutes before the regulation time, they had a free kick, and then um, Kivier scored an own goal. And then we tried to equalize, but then it was too late. It was too little and too late. Arteta brought in a Trossard, and he is a way too late, I think. And I'll discuss about it uh, in today's section. I will discuss both the positives as well as the negatives, the things that I didn't like from Arteta. I'll discuss both those substitutions in depth there. But yeah, we brought in players, we tried to make score the equalizer, but just like how I did it about those later era Wenger era games, they scored one more goal to rub it in, and basically that's game over. We lost 2-0. Ideally, the game should have gotten over if attackers had done their job. I mean, one can blame other players, defense, whatever you want, but Nelson, Havertz, Saka, Odegaard. I mean, rest of the folks did okay. No, not much complaints there, but yeah, our friend four let us down today. I'd pin the primary blame it on those offensive players over anything or anyone. Despite the result, let me quickly discuss some of the positives I took out of this game. Like I tweeted, I really liked Jorginho's performance. If you have seen the graphic that was going around in the Twitter about like the pace of a build-up, like Arsenal is amongst one of the slowest in terms of build-ups, but Jorginho's inclusion today kind of helped us progress the ball better. He was in his usual self where he would like sit and dictate. He would sit and spray those switch passes left and right. He would make those clever forward passes. Any other player would make those like routine right to left, left to right passes, but with Jorginho you would get that quick turn and get those piercing through balls. So I really liked what he brought to the table. In my opinion, even though he's not a starter material at this age, he can be used as a special tactical pawn for some of these games, especially on games which will suit his pace. For example, some of the European games suited his pace. The slow paced games or the tactical battles. For example, I really like Jorginho's performance versus City as well. So he can be used for certain games. His through balls, his IQ, football IQ in general, I really rate him. So that is one positive. The second positive is obviously the confidence of Ramsdale. This is his first big game. I mean, a game against a big team in a while, and he really showed a lot of character with his passes, with playing out from the back. He also acted as a sweeper keeper for a couple of occasions, and he made a good save. So that was another positive. Again, the next positive I really liked was Saliba's performance. Obviously, I mean, God knows where we would be if not for Saliba, right? His composure was so good. He really made some very good tackles inside the D box and in one possession consistently. So these three were the positives I really took from the game. On more positive note was the way we dominated the game in general, like because we really did well in terms of creating chances. I mean, creating chances has been one of the issues for us this season, but today's game gave a lot of hope. So the way we opened their defense, the way we attacked, the way we created chances kind of gave a lot of hope to me. So these were the positives. The first one was Jorginho's performance, which helped us move the ball better. The second one was Ramsdale's confidence. The third one was Saliba's game, of course. I mean, at this rate, Saliba is like expected. Like Even Saka goes out of form, but Saliba he consistently drops 7 out of 10 or like 8 out of 10. The thing with Saliba is like even if he makes a rare giveaway or like a rare miss pass, he works hard and retrieves it back. So these three were the positives that took from this game despite the result. Now it's time to discuss the negative aspects of the game, and there are a lot of negative aspects. One of them being our inefficiency in front of goal. The XG stat that I read out at the beginning of the podcast, right? Like that is a very scary stat to have. It basically states that the professional footballers whom he employ as attackers are acting like school kids in front of goal for the last 2-3 games running. Obviously, this slump has affected us a lot, and I'm sure that this would be the focus of discussion amongst fans, social media, the pundits. Obviously, the media would always discuss the striker situation, but I'm not going to touch too much on that. I guess that is a self-explanatory point that we lack goals. I would add a few more thoughts to that, but I'm going to discuss a different point here. I'm going to discuss about Arteta lacking a plan B option in his arsenal. I mean, when I mean plan B, there are two kinds of plan B. One being a tactical alternative to the one we deploy, and another one is a player. The plan B being a player that comes off the bench. I mean, I don't see any difference in the way we play, irrespective of the game style. I mean, there are occasions where like we would put more bodies offensively if we are trailing or something, but I still wish to see a lot more options from Arteta in terms of in-game management. In one of the YouTube videos I saw, Arteta stated that Carlo Ancelotti is one of the GOATs. If you ask me what makes Carlo Ancelotti great, I would say that his in-game management. The way he changes tactics during the game, the way he changes tactics based on situations and scenarios. I mean, if you have seen his UCL run with Real Madrid, you would have noticed how the players press on certain moments of the game, how the players track back, how the players maintain their shape, absorb the pressure for certain moments of the game. I remember a game versus Chelsea where like Benzema and co like they were like super conservative in the first half, but right after the halftime whistle, they started pressing like dogs and they forced mistakes on Chelsea. So this is a classic example of how in-game management works, how Plan B works. Uh, that is that is why there are like dressing room talks are so important for certain managers. Now with Arteta's case, we hardly see any Plan B. But I mean, like I said, like when we are trailing, we take an extra risk in our gameplay. But apart from that, if the game is still nil-nil, I hardly see much differences in our the way we set up tactically. So, and it is very much possible to do that with the kind of players we have. For example, Saka is a player who has played on the left-hand side, and Nelson is also a player who has experience playing on the right side. Odegaard has played on both sides. Jesus is also someone who can play everywhere on the pitch. So the changes, the way the players interchanged last season was also one of the reasons why we did well on some of the games. But there are players like Saka who always remain fixed on right hand side. There are players like Odegaard who always get fixed on the the right half space. So, and I kind of get the feeling that we always stick to our guns, stick to our tactical thing, and I feel that Arteta could do. I feel that Arteta can change a thing or two when things are not going smoothly. I mean, sometimes a minor change would end up being fortunate for us in favor of us. So that is one point. Another point is the lack of plan B we have in the form of a player. Now I get that we don't have enough resources that can come and change the game off the pitch, but like that is where I want to discuss another point of like that is the Arteta's treatment of players like Emil Smith Rowe and Reece Nelson, or Arteta's treatment with Walters. I mean, especially the treatment with ML Smith Rowe. ML Smith Rowe is someone who saved us when we were in trenches. That 10 goal season would go down in history for sure. I mean, a lot of people would hold him fondly for the way and the manner in which he helped us that season. But Arteta doesn't seem to trust him for some reason. I can understand if it's some sort of a fitness thing or something, but he doesn't trust ML Smith Rowe. He didn't trust him in the last dead rubber UCL game. He didn't trust when we were like 5-0 up in one of those UCL games. He didn't trust him properly in Carabao Cup. The same goes with Nelson. Every Premier League game he gets 5 or 6 minutes at max, but then he's again straight away asked to play FA Cup versus Liverpool. Same goes with ML Smith Rowe. Every game he gets like 5 or 6 minutes when we are losing. The same with the Liverpool game. After we had lost, he brought in Evans Smith Rowe and Trossard. Like so, I mean, what is that supposed to mean? When things aren't working, you have to seek inspiration. You have to either change something tactically in game, or you have to bring someone off the bench and try to do something different. And in this case, he hasn't backed the only decent players we have got. And with respect to Real Walters, like folks like Cedric, El Neni, who are clearly not going to spend their futures with us, get game time. I'm not even asking Arteta to start Walters in an important game or in an important group stage game or something. That last QCL game was a dead rubber game. He can take that risk. Walters could have played instead of Cedric. On the game where we scored 5 goals in the first half or something, ML Smith Rowe could have come on second half. He could have gotten his confidence back. He could have done with more game time on his stand. We are being told that White is nursing an injury, White is playing despite a knock or blah blah blah. But this is where I would blame Arteta. Like if he had given some amount of game time to Walters, then we might have easily reduced the game time of White. We could have easily brought Walters into our system. Everyone has to enter the team at some point. Even Saka was a youngster when he broke into the squad. So I'm not sure if it's a trust issue or if it's if it's his mentality to play it safe. I didn't like the way Arteta treated Emil Smith Rowe and Walters. I can let it go if it's Ethan or MLS because they are too young, and I can understand like not wanting to risk 16 and 17-year-olds. But Walters had a preseason with us, and ESR is a known face of the club. Nelson is also a known face of the club. In fact, he even scored a goal against Liverpool a couple of home fixtures back. So yeah, in summary, Arteta not trusting Nelson, ESR, Walters allowed us to overplay folks like Ben White, Bukayo Saka, who are like clearly going through the worst phase of their Arsenal careers, and it is kind of affecting our results as well. So that is should be a major talking point in my opinion. Yeah, and then of course the lack of goals. Last season we had Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, all folks firing from all cylinders in terms of goal contribution, and this season Martinelli is not having a prolific season. Saka is kind of having an on and off season despite being your top scorer, and of course Jesus is Jesus, Nketiah is Nketiah, and Trossard is Trossard. We need to address that position. I'm not sure if we can do that in the current January window, but yeah, we need goals. It's as simple as that. I don't care if the goals come from a single person or if it comes from multiple players, because I'll tell you why. Because some people has this old I'll tell you why. Because some people have this old-fashioned thought that a goal-scoring striker equates to winning the league because they think that a talisman can lead us to a league title, but that is not the case actually. You shouldn't look for the goal count of an individual. You should always look at how many goals we score as a team. That's what I have always looked at. Even in recent seasons, teams like Manchester City, they have won the league not because they boasted a goal scoring striker up front, but because they had a good team. Chelsea won league titles in the past not because they boasted 20-30 goals per season striker, but they had good defense. So so I don't really care who scores those. For example, if we are going to score 30 goals, I don't really care who scores those 30 goals. I'm fine either ways. I'm fine even if it's shared between three midfielders. I'm fine even if it's scored by the two wingers we have. So, but at the end of the day, we should score sufficient goals. So I think that is a topic I guess everyone is aware of. That is an issue everyone is aware of. So with that, I'll end my ramble on the negative aspects. But I'll end the podcast with this information. Some folks out there are calling Arteta out and that and this, but in my opinion, it's too early to call for his head because we can criticize him, but we still need to understand that he is the one who brought life back to the club. We were in absolute shambles, but he kind of gave us an identity and he brought back a lot of happiness to the club. So he still has credit in his bank, in my opinion, and I'm sure that we would. Uh, so I wish him all the best. I'm gonna back the team that we currently have, and I just hope that we have a good end to the season, either in UCL or in Premier League. I still have a gut feeling that we would do well in UCL.
Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.